Hello, good afternoon viewers. Now in this tutorial or video, I'm going to be doing this item here that appeared in UNEB ICT Practical Paper 2, the paper that was done on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, countrywide. Now this was the paper in a practical paper of ICT. Learners are always advised to do two items in that paper, and item 1 is always there, and it is pushing a learner to use office programs, that is Word, Access, Excel, PowerPoint, whereas the other item 2 can push learners to use Publisher for this case, and then website for the online case. Now for the case of this video, I'm doing item 1 of this paper. Now before even doing item 1, a learner is always advised to create their folder. I'm going to do it here as an example. Of course, you create your folder. An example, the learner is Mark Marvin Sozi 001 as a personal number. And if they open that folder, they create another subfolder there. They rename it item 1. Okay, then they create another subfolder. They rename it item 2. Now I'm creating two subfolders, item 1 and item 2, because in the paper there are two items. As you see this paper here, there are two items, and it is better for a learner to create two different subfolders to support the two support materials that can be used in whichever item. Now for the case of item 1, I'm going to do it under the subfolder of item 1. And when I'll do item 2, I'll do the subfolder, I'll use the subfolder of item 2. Now straight away, let me kick to this. Let me go to this. Let me try and open this with Word. Then I really analyze the questions that are required of a learner to do. So as it's opening in Word like this, as you view this, because this has been a PDF file, but as it opens in Word like this, the word processor is just going to enable me do the highlighting, maybe for the case of analyzing the question. And here it is. Your aunt is a DOS, Director of Studies of Moral School. Part of her work is to organize results of O-level students according to the different categories of performance. She is supposed to use a computer to produce reports that will help school management to make the following decisions. Now, if you look at this scenario, the scenario clearly indicates that the aunt is a DOS of a school, and in her work, she always organizes the O-level students, the results of the O-level students. And she's supposed to use a computer to produce the reports that will help the school management to make the following decisions. Now, the key term here in this scenario is, first of all, she is supposed to use a computer to produce reports. That is a key term. Your aunt is supposed to use a computer to produce reports. That is key. And it's going to help the management to come up with decisions. And the Roman numeral 1 here, the Roman numeral 1 is all learners whose average score is 70 and above get a special recognition. That is also important, that all learners whose average is above 70, they will get a special recognition. Now that is also important. Then item 2, the best 2 students appear on the head teacher's list of fame, and each gets Ugandan shillings 10,000. That is also important. We shall see how to do that in in the work we are here to do. Then the average scores of students on the head teacher's list must be represented graphically for easy understanding. That is also so important. Now these three are important in whatever you're doing. A learner is supposed to answer these three using the support file that is provided to them. And of course a learner doesn't stop at the three. They could incorporate other programs, and I'm not saying that what I'm going to do in this video is the actual thing. Now this is it with new curriculum. This may not be the actual thing, but it is directing the learner to something that could be right, though it could not be the actual thing as the other old way of studying that was done in the recent year 2023. Yes, your aunt, however, has limited knowledge of using computer. She has approached you for help and given you the results of the students in the file support1.xlsx. Now that is an Excel file that is recent, 2013 onwards. And the task is make a report that your aunt will submit to the school management for decision making. Okay. Now you see that make a report your aunt will submit to the management. There is a report here. And according to my understanding, according to the way I'm going to do this, I'm supposed to make reports first of all. Use a computer to produce reports. I'm supposed to make reports of learners. And then there's a final report to the management. Anyway, I'll just take you through this. Tried it already here. Before I load the actual thing to my folder to start the work, let me first open this. This is the Excel file that I formatted. This is it, and it had Moro sheets because Moro is the school name, and the learner is always advised to rename according to the question, according to the scenario, because no question could direct a learner to rename in the new way of learning, but it is up to the learner to rename according to the local terms or the African terms in the scenario. That's why I'm renaming this Moro Excel and I'm renaming this Moro sheet. ETC HM list of fame, they should always rename, and this is the actual thing I did in Excel. Then the graph is here, then the list of fame for the HM is here. I didn't stop at Excel. I even imported in Access. Then I did some simple queries there. For example, this is the sheet, Moro sheet for electronic data storage. HM's list of fame, female learners, male learners, facial recognition, etc. And some people can even add a form. It goes back to a learner's timing. They can do this within 1 hour. Okay, and Word, there's a report here. In Word, yes, this was a merge report, and it is looking like this. Moro progressive report for selected subjects, and each learner is supposed to get a report. That's why I created this as Moro reports complete. It's something like merged Moro administration report, Moro reports complete. This one here is the actual thing where each learner is getting their own report, and maybe the signature of the head of the school and the signature of the DOS. And lastly, you can also do some PowerPoint, because in the scenario here, rather in the task, we're told to make a report that we shall submit to the school management for decision making. Well, we cannot submit individual reports of learners to the school management. So the school management could just require something like this, a brief look up at what transpired in the performance of the O-level students. Maybe if they click in this link, they can view the actual file of Excel, etc. So I'm going to do all this in the video, and straight away, let me kickstart. Okay, to the question, they are telling us to load a file support1.xlsx. So I'm going to look for that file. At the description of the video, I'm going to put some of the support files that I used, the support files for UNEB, but most of you could have the support files for UNEB. The ones that UNEB provided are the ones I'm going to use here. and I placed mine around here, support.xlsx. If you need this, you can check in the description of the video, or you can inbox and then I can send them to you. You try this out. Now after loading this, I'm going to take it straight to my item 1, support, right click and then paste. Now the moment it is pasted, I may not leave it as support 1, because of course I should do the right renaming basing on the scenario and the task. The file is called support1.xls, but I could not leave it as that, because I want to put a difference between my work and the support folders. So I'm going to just rename this according to the question. For example, I can decide to rename it as Moro Spreadsheet, because Moro is a school name that is appearing in item 1. So before I even open, I can rename it as Moro Spreadsheet. Then straight away I can open it after renaming. Well, you can't rename something that is closed, actually that is open, sorry. You can't rename a file that has been opened already. That's why I renamed Moro before opening it. Now this is the Excel file that was provided by UNEB for the learner to do the activities in Excel. Well, I'm going to be following this. This file here, so that we can do this step by step. Yes. Now you see that a learner's name appears here, then sex, class, English, math. It stopped at math, and in the questions here, we are told to help our aunt, who is the boss of the school, to compute those scores in these ways. That all learners whose average score is above 70, they get a special recognition. But we have not yet computed average, and they're telling us that all learners who are getting average of above 70, they will get a special recognition. So in my case, we're supposed to first get the total of the learners, and then we get the average, then we get the comments. So straight away in our work, here I could put something like total score of learner. I click anywhere, this label is going to look like these ones, because these ones have already been formatted by UNEB. And maybe if you want to make some change, you could just highlight. You could highlight these, then you just wrap them. Wrap is just here, so that this word fits in a box. And then you compute the total. I could just use a formula to do this plus this, hit enter, and scroll to the last learner. That is total. Well, I'm doing total because in the question here, they're telling us that all learners whose average score is above 70, they get a special recognition. And we only have the scores of English and math, and you cannot do total. You cannot do average minus computing total first. That's why I'm computing total. And there's nothing like a question to push a learner to compute total. But it's always incumbent of a learner to first compute total, then they can do average. Yes. Then here I can type a label average, then I compute average equals average. You mind the spelling of the function name. This one is in F2, the total is in F2 over the number of subjects. There are 2. Close the brackets, hit enter, and drag downwards. You get the average of learners. Now if we have the average, just like this, if we have the average of learners, it means we can do the comments they wanted in the scenario. They want a comment of a special recognition, that if a learner is above 70, they get a special recognition. Of course, a learner who has studied Excel 2 in Senior 3, they can just come up with a comment using the if function to compute this. We can come up with a heading comment on average, comment on average. see the learners with special recognitions. And we can maintain this bold, highlight, bold, and again we can maintain the all borders. You can highlight again, give the work all borders to give it the Excel look. Okay. Now the comments on the average, if a learner is above 70, they are specially recognized, but if they are not, they could just be recognized but not specially recognized. Now back to Excel. Of course, here I'm going to run the if function equals if, and our average is in G2. G2, if G2 is above or equal to 70. I'm going with above or equal to 70 because I also want to include this person who got a 70 net, because it's 70 and above. But if I just put if G2 is above 70, this person who got a 70 like Mulungi may not be considered. That's why I'm putting my cosine as well. If G2 is above or equal to 70, comma, what happens? In bracket, in the quotes, special recognition. Close the quotes. That if a learner got 70 and above, they get a comment of special recognition, comma. Then if, another if is for learners who are above 70. If G2 below, rather, if G2 is below 70, comma, what happens? It could just be recognized. Recognized. Yes. Now I'm just picking the recognized from just creativity, because the first category of 70 and above is special recognition. The learners who got they got below 70, like 60s or 50s, those ones could just be recognized. That's why I'm putting recognized as the second argument. And I'm closing the brackets 2 times because I've opened the if, I've opened the bracket 2 times, or I've typed the if 2 times. Hit enter. The first learner is recognized because they have a 55, and if I drag downwards to the last learner, the 29th learner, you see there are some people who are specially recognized, like Sima, people like Anne, Mulungi, Kalanda, etc. They are recognized specially. And that is what they wanted in part I of the question. Okay, if I look at this Excel file, I recognized people specially, and those that are below the 70, they just recognized. It's just up to a learner's creativity once again to highlight these learners who are specially recognized. I can click here, hold the control, keep on clicking at all these ones who are specially recognized, and then you can give them some color that can make them outstanding, or even a bold feature, or even some fill colors that are not that dark, something like that, to show the learners that are specially recognized in the O-level classes. Now, after the comment of specially recognized and recognized, I'm heading to the learners ranking. If you look at this spreadsheet I did already, I ranked learners for a reason. Now, back to the question. There is the Roman numeral 2. The best 2 students appear on the head teacher's list of fame, and each gets Ugandan shillings 10,000. They want me to recognize the best 2 learners to appear on HM's list of fame, the best 2, and each one of them can get a reward of 10,000. Of course, if I want to pick the best 2 learners in a class, to make my work easy, I'm going to first rank, because I'm having a lot of learners, they're over 20, and I want to pick the best 2. So I could rank first. I could create a label. An example is ranking. Let me give these labels the same size. Let me give them a 14 and a bold feature. Ranking. Remember, I grabbed. Now, if I want to rank, of course, I'm going to put an equal sign, rank, open brackets, and then based on what I want to rank using average. So I click at average. Average is in G2, comma, repeat the G2, lock it, F4 key on the keyboard to those two symbols, the 4 columns. I think average is going to end at G29, G29, F4, comma 0, close. The 0 means rank from you rank in, you based on ascending. You put this 0 here, the 0 rather, it's descending. The 0 means this person with the highest average could be number 1, and this person with the lowest average could be number last. If I hit enter, this person is 21st, and if I scroll downwards to the last person, the ranks are generated, and here you can easily see these people who are going to appear on the HM's list of fame. Of course, having ranked, we maintain the old borders in our Excel, that look of Excel. Then if I compare what I did here, the ranking, there are some outstanding colors I put at those best 2 people with their reward. Okay. Now you could easily see the people who are outstanding, like Ofono was number 1 because they had the highest average, 85.5. So you could just highlight him like such, and then give him that fill color that could make him outstanding, some color that could not cover the text. You should have the right choice of colors here, because the questions of practical have a lot of impression you're sharing with this person who is marking you. You could even give them a slightly bigger size, not a very big size, but a slightly bigger size. It could be something like a 14. Better. Same applies to this other person who was number 2. I think it was Kalanda. Kalanda was number 2, so you could give him the same feature, 14, and then you bold him, you make him outstanding, because those are the first 2 people who are outstanding. And I'm only dealing with those 2 because they are the 2 people who are wanted on HM's list of fame. And each of them is going to get 10,000 as reward. Now a learner can even decide to put reward from head teacher. Yes. You can type the rewards manually, or you can use any function to return the reward of the best 2, because according to the question, it's these 2 who are supposed to get the reward of 10,000, because they're the best 2 learners who are to appear on the list of fame. Okay, equals if, open brackets, I want to comment on their averages again. If a learner is having an average of 82.5 and above, they get a reward. Now that is again creativity. A learner could be creative in such a way that if these are the 2 people who are wanted on HM's list of fame and they're getting 10,000, how can I generate an if to do that? So average is in G2. If G2 is above or equal to, I want to consider calendar because calendar was number second. 82.5, comma, what happens? In quotes, you give them 10,000. Or you could just put a comma, 10,000. You see how it will work. And then if, comma, if G2 is less than 82.5, comma, what happens? They get a 0. Close the bracket 2 times, hit enter, and drag downwards. Now we expect all the learners to get zeros apart from Ofono and Kalanda because they are meeting the 82.5 average. Now if I scroll downwards, you see the rest of the learners are getting the zeros and the 2 are getting some 10,000 from the HM Ugandan currency. Okay. We maintain the old borders. Maintain the old borders of Excel. And then we'll see the rest of the questions. You see how my Excel is taking shape. Now a learner could do all this, keeping it in mind that each item is 1 hour, and it's better they incorporate other programs apart from only Excel. Okay, then this one is the average scores of the students on the 8 teachers list must be represented graphically for easy understanding and use. Now there are a lot of questions that have been arising from this part 3, that the average scores of the students on the head teachers list must be represented graphically for easy understanding. Now in that item, in the Roman numeral 3, they wanted the learner to draw a graph using the best 2 students, because in Roman numeral 2, the best 2 students are going to appear on HM's list of fame. And in the next question, they want to represent that data of those students on his list using a graph. Now, you could even decide to do this. I can decide to only copy this, to copy these 2 learners here. I can copy this, then I can hold Ctrl and copy this, Ctrl C. I can go to sheet 1 and I can decide to paste it here. Let me highlight these 2 and then I paste. Yes, I've pasted them on sheet 2 because they're the best 2 students that are going to appear on the teacher's list of fame. Okay. Back to the original sheets, hit escape for the symbols to disappear, and then you copy this. Copy, go to sheet 2, highlight at the first row and paste. Yes, it can work. Now here we are at these sheets. This sheet is having learners who are appearing on HM's list of fame, and I talked of renaming at the beginning of the video. It's better you rename. So I could just double click here, then I can rename this as Moro. Sure. Rename it as Moro sheet, and then sheet 2. Sorry about that. Hit escape. Double click here. Moro sheets, and then sheet 2. Double click. This one is HM list of fame. So the renaming of the sheets is important because we shall import to Access, and when you import into Access, you should import the right sheets. You could not import a sheet of a graph, so it could be hard for you to differentiate between a graph sheet and the sheet having the content you want. So I could right click here and then select tab color, give it a color, right click here, tab color. This is just learner's creativity. Having sorted that to another sheet, here there was another note that the average scores of students on the head teachers list must be represented graphically for easy understanding and use. So these 2 people could be represented in a graph for easy understanding and use, and I think they wanted us to use their average scores. So we're going to highlight a name of a learner, and then hit Ctrl, hold Ctrl, highlight average, go and draw a 3D graph. Draw a 3D graph under insert, and the graph is right here. Click at 3D and your graph is going to be generated having the 2 averages of the 2 best learners that are appearing on head teachers list of fame. Of course, you cannot leave a graph here. You could not leave it here because you could take it to another sheet, but maybe you can give it some of the parts of the graph, a 3D graph representing learners that appear on the head teachers list of fame. Yes. And then you can put the X and Y axis on the graph, click at it, under design, chart element, axis titles, horizontal. Then I think this was learner's name. Look for the other axis that is vertical. These ones are average scores. Now all these are not asked, but a learner's competence is being tested. Can a learner draw a graph? Can a learner label the graph? Can a learner complete the entire graph? For example, can a learner put a legend to the right? So that's now a complete graph. And all these issues of colors, they're just to do with the learner's creativity. Just the learner's creativity. So I can decide to take this graph to sheet 3, right click at it and look for cuts. Go and create another sheet. You can rename it graphical data of best, graphical data of best 2. Then you can paste it here, right click, paste. It means the graph is now here at the sheet 3. And if you look at the question, the 3 required questions, I've done all of them. I've done average, I've sorted the best 2 learners, I've given them the 10,000, I've commented the special recognition, I've represented that on the graph. And you may not stop here because one item is 1 hour and you're required to do a lot. Now learners are always told in some of the videos we usually do these numbers of item 1 Excel. The moment you do Excel, you're supposed to also import it, you're supposed to export it to Access, take it to Access. For data keeping, well, you may not keep data in only Excel. You can take it to Access for better data keeping. Now this is what I did here. In this number I was displaying here, I did the graph as well, then I did this. But again I took it to I took it to Access. I did not stop at Excel. So in your item 1, you could just go there and create another program, rename it Access, and you can rename it Moro database, because it could be a database of all level in a school. A school can have a database of learners, and of course, whenever they talk of a database of learners, what comes to your mind is Microsoft Access. Now, having done all this in Excel, before I close Excel, this is so important with Excel. What you may not do with Excel is this. Don't go to Excel and then create a new right click here, then create a new row. For example, if you create a new row here, then you give it a heading Moro data. So that could affect the Excel file you're exporting to Access. So it's not advisable for you to put a heading on top of Excel, because when you're exporting to Access, it may affect you in some way. So if you want your heading, if you really want the heading in Excel, well, you can just put, you can just create another sheet. I can create another sheet, then I can rename it Excel title, and then I could put my title around here. I could highlight this, then I give it a merge and center effect, then I type Moro Excel data, then I can just do anything I want with this title. I could maybe give it a bigger size, maybe a color, etc. But I may not take this sheet to Access. Maybe someone could just view it as Excel title. Yes, you don't put it on top of the sheet you're soon exporting to Access. So Ctrl S, I can save this. Let me close this first. Save changes in more spreadsheet. Yes, I want. Then I look for the location desktop. I'm working from from a folder called Marvin Kasozi, item 1. I can rename it as Moral spreadsheets complete. Moral spreadsheet complete. Sorry, I leave the extension there. Hit save and close. Then I'm heading to Access. I'm going to just export to Access the data I've done in Excel. Now, no one is asking me to export here in Access, but again, a learner should incorporate a lot of programs. You cannot end at Excel. For those of you who have been going through the item 1 scenarios, you may not end at Excel. You're supposed to also incorporate other programs. So under external data, I'm going to click at Excel. Then I try to import the Excel file. It's under desktop. It is under item 1. Under desktop, then under this item 1. Even at your computer, you'll have to locate the folder you're working with under desktop. Then I'm going to use complete. Open. Then I click OK. The machine is suggesting which sheet I am importing. I'm going to import the moral sheet first. I may not import the graphical sheet, and I may not import the Excel title. I'm only importing the HM's list of fame and the moral sheet. Of course, graphical sheet cannot be imported in Access. So I'm going to import these sheets. Hit next again, hit next. Let Access add a primary key. Yes, I'm letting it add a primary key because according to the data I had in Excel, there's no data suitable for the primary key. They didn't have ID numbers. So I'm going to let Access create that primary key. I save the import steps and then I save the imports. Now the table is here with all the contents. Close. I'm going to just bring some other sheets. Browse, moral, complete, and then open. Next, okay. Next. Let Access add a primary key. Next, and then finish. So I've imported another sheet. Maybe the renaming here, I can rename it as, this one was HM lists of fame, those two learners. Finish. Save imports. Save imports. It's already in use. Enter different name. Imports. Put this. You can put like a number 1 to differentiate. Save. And then this is HM list of fame. This one is moral sheet. Okay. Now if I look at HM list of fame, it's displaying a lot of learners. Yet I had 2. Let me first close Access. Then I go back to Excel. I see what's up. Complete. I'm using complete. HM list of fame. I'm seeing there are 2 learners here, and I'm trying to export this the other side. And there are 2 here. This one is moral sheet. This one HM list of fame. Okay. Let me close this. Then I go back to Access. Delete HM list of fame. Yes. And then I try to bring it again. Browse, desktop. Browse for this item 1, complete, open, okay. Then HM list of fame, I think I hadn't selected this. Next, finish. Save imports and save imports. Okay, leave this. Let me close this. I see HM list of fame. They are here. They are 2. Okay, now if access has been generated and you have your table and you have HM's list of fame, well, you can just run a few queries in Access because you've done almost the questions of the item 1, but you're trying to add in something that could bring an excellence mark. No one is asking you to run queries, no one is asking you to run forms, but again, you're adding them to earn the excellence mark. So you could do those quickly. You could run some queries quickly. For example, a query of males in the school. Double click at this, put all of them down. English, math, total score, average, comments, ranking, words. Okay, you could run a query of males. So you could just type male the way you typed it in the table, male. You could save it quickly as male learners O level. Yes, male learners O level. You can even run a query of female learners in O level quickly. Sheets, adds, close. Control A, drag all this down. Under this you put female. Run female, Control S, female learners. Hit enter. Yes, and you see, if someone opens your access, they can view some of the data in Moral School. For example, female learners, HM list of fame, they can view male learners, etc. Some people even could go next one to create a form design, but again, keep it in mind that one item is 1 hour. You keep that in mind. One item is 1 hour. So if you decide to create a form, you could do it quickly by adding all these in a form, design, highlights, push this to the center. Okay. This is what? This is a text box. This is a label. Maybe you can draw a label of Moral School data entry form. Can maybe help teachers deal with data of learners. Under home, rather, I'm looking for the designing of this. Highlight again. Color, would give it a bigger size because this is a heading. If it's too big, you can adjust the size. Okay, Moral form. Yes, Moral form. Then I could just do the last part of the form by maybe adding a button of next and previous. Next, text, next, finish. Another button is previous, next, text, next, finish. And I save as Moral form. If you open the form, it could display some of the learners in Moral School, all the learners in Moral School. Okay, and that could be access. And I'm not saying that is the only access one could do. That could be the access a learner could have done. Yes. And if you go back to item 1, in the period of the 1 hour you're still using, if you go back to item 1, there is something like she is supposed to use a computer to produce reports that will help the school management to make important decisions. Now you can make a report. We can make a report. We can just use a simple Word document. Word is here. Then I name it learners reports. And then I open it so that I generate quickly learners report. This is now Moral Secondary School Progressive report card. This could be a simple background. This is a report card for a learner in O level in Moral School. Yes, you could generate even report cards of learners in the school. I could just highlight this heading. I just make it outstanding, bold, bigger size, features of the heading, center, could give it a color. It's a report card for a learner in moral school. Yes. And then I just put some information from my Excel. If you look at my Excel here, I could just drag these name, sex, class. I could just type them in my Word document. Name, sex, class, English, math. What else? Total score, average, comments. Total score, average, comments. What else? Ranking and reward. Reward from head of school. Yes. Okay, then I could maybe put these in the center, or I could leave them here for just uniformity. Then I'm going to simply complete this by giving it, of course, a border. I could just give it a border to give it that look of a report card, page borders. Then you could give it an art border. You see, all this, it's pushing a learner to use their creativity in these programs. Page color. Then here I can put head teachers, signature. Sorry. Here I can put director of studies, signature. Okay. Then I can highlight this. Then I put it somewhere in the center to differentiate it between the other items. I can even push it here. I can give this something like a space, and even here you just give it something like a space. And you could just put a date that's issued on, today is the 24th, issued on 24th October 2024. Yes. And then I could just give it a watermark to show that it's moral, and a watermark. There is a custom watermark, then text under ASAP moral school. Give it a color. I like this. Apply. See how it applies. Okay, moral school. This could be a report card that could be issued to a learner, but again, we could just pick the information from Excel, just put it here and merge. And I could just close this, then I merge quickly as one of the last parts of the number. If you're merging, you could just go at mailings, you look for select recipients, use existing list. Desktop is here. I'm using this folder, item 1, then moral complete, open, and hit OK. Sorry, I didn't differentiate the sheet I'm using. Use the existing list, then desktop is here, item 1, moral complete, hit open, and then you differentiate the sheet. And this was the sheet having a lot of that. I think it was moral sheet. Not title, not graph, not HM, moral sheets. Yes. And then under name, I can insert a field name. Under sex, I can insert a field sex. Under class, I can insert a field class. Under English, insert English. Under math, insert math. Under total, insert total. Under average, like that, insert average. The same way you used to do the mail merging. Then under comments, ranking. Now the difference between this type of merging and the other of step-by-step is the other of step-by-step can work on fields that have not been calculated. But for the calculated fields like these ones, for example, average that has been calculated will not work for you. That's why I was using this one of select recipients. Having merged, you're going to finish and merge, then edit individual letters, hit OK, and each learner is going to get their own report card. Nice feature there. Reward from the head of school, 0. Reward from the head of school, 0. etc. There are a lot of report cards of learners, and of course you're issuing report cards to them, and it's a plus to a learner who could do that in that item 1. Quickly save. You know, merging has the saving part, which is tricky to learners. When you're saving a merged document, you're going to just, of course, Control S, then you look for the location under desktop. I'm using Marvin and I'm using item 1. I can rename this as reports merged. Hit save, and your merged reports are going to be saved. Now a merged report could be different from this one. This one is having the fields. The other that was merged, it had all the report cards of the 29 learners. So you resave again to have the merged report cards. Click at save, and your item 1 is having these programs. You realize Excel is there, Access is there, the Word reports are there, and lastly, now this video I'm doing is in line with the video I did, I think 7 months back, where I was doing a report card system. Of course it was, I think it was UNEB sample paper, item 1, that's video. They're almost the same. They're almost the same. So it's like UNEB brought something that was almost the same as their sample in item 1. Maybe this one did not have the report cards generated for you or designed for you, and it didn't have the photos. If you look through my channel, you could see that video I did. Now back to this as the last resort. Now people in the school management, if you're submitting report cards for decision making, you may not submit all the report cards of learners for decision making. Well, you could submit just a glimpse of what transpired in the performance of learners. You could not submit all the report cards to the management because the management could not have time to look at all the report cards in one. They could have time to look at only the summary of what transpired in the performance of O-level learners. So in this approach I was doing here, this was a decision-making report, and it's in PowerPoint. Well, I just created a heading, of course, a decision-making report. You can rename it as maybe you could rename it summary performance. Summary performance for admin. Yes, then you open it so that you do something quick there, so that in the admin will also have their own summary, because the admin could not have time to look at all the report cards of learners, or the admin could not have time to look at the big Excel file, or they could not, get time to spot each and every learner in the school. But if you summarize it for them, they can easily deal with it. Now, having opened PowerPoint, it's blank, of course. Under new slide, go to title slide, put a title there. The title I used was Moral School by Kasozi Marvin Mark. Then slide 2. Now a learner is using all these programs because they were taught to them. They studied PowerPoint in senior 2, term 1. So they could use PowerPoint in item 1. It's not that they are not supposed to use PowerPoint. They're supposed to use it because they have knowledge to do with PowerPoint, and it could connect to the question. So this is the heading, moral electronic storage. Maybe this is my heading in slide 2, and in slide 2 I just took a screenshot of the Excel file. Now if you can't take a screenshot, I just opened the Excel file like this. I opened it, and then after opening it, I made sure that it was on the screen like such. Then I hit print screen key on the keyboard, and after hitting print screen, I could cut this, only this. I could cut this, and then I just save it under Paint. It's already here. Click at it, or you can open a Paint program from the Start button and save. Save is here. Under Desktop, you look for the folder using item 1. It's a short screenshot, and save it there. And then close Excel, copy this image, and then paste it in PowerPoint. You could just reduce. Now, like I said, people maybe are at the admin and they're trying to look at the performance of the learners. You could maybe highlight this, and then I could paste it. You could just create a shape, draw a shape here, right click at it, edit text, then the above image represents data in Excel. And then you could add something like click the link to view the actual file. And you could just make this a link, highlight it, and then just make it. Before I make it a link, you could freeze the shape. I will click at the shape, fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. I just increase the size of this under this, and highlight, under insert, there is a link, hyperlink, link to. Now I want to link to an existing file. It's Moro, under item 1, Moro complete. Then okay. Yes, we shall see how that works. Then lastly, I just created another slide to display the best two learners. Control C. The heading is the best two learners. Control C, Control V. And then I just went to Excel. Where is Excel? Excel is here. Sorry. Excel is here. Then the best two learners, they are under the best two learners are just under HM's list. You could highlight them, Control C, copy them and take them to PowerPoint. Right click, paste. There we are. And lastly, it was a slide, something like a conclusion, or you could draw a 3D graph. Take it to this, paste, and you could pick your graph from Excel to PowerPoint. Copy this, and then I paste it here. I'm copying it from PowerPoint because I had already done it. But if you're copying it from Excel, you could just open Excel and, of course, go and right-click at your graph, select copy, then go to PowerPoint and paste it there. Just that. Now that is it. This is it. This is PowerPoint that could display a summary of the learner's performance. Now if I run a slideshow here, and then I click at this link takes me to the actual Excel file. Viewers, that was it all with the item 1 for UNEB. As I promised, I will do it today, and indeed I've done it. feel free to comment. We can share ideas here. And I'm not saying that this is the actual thing. We all know that the question is open. Things are open. Learners are pushed to do a lot, provided they can do that a lot within 1 hour. Things are open, but that is it. That could be it. If the idea matches mine, well and good. If you have something slightly different, you could inbox. We chat about it. Thanks for the subscriptions, thanks for the views, thanks for the comments, the feedback, the sharing of links, and so on. I wish you a nice day, and I wish to find you here in the next video I'm yet to record. A good evening.